The following video was captured by a man called Lean, and he actually featured in one of the recent videos on this channel. Now, in case you missed the video that he was last seen in, I will give you a quick rundown on his backstory. Lean was a married man with a wife and 2 kids, but due to them being in full-time education and his wife having a long and draining job, he often had the house all to himself. This was a luxury until he came to the realization that the house may be haunted. Frightened, he called an exorcist, and to his pleasure, it was a success, and he never faced anything haunting again. However, during the period between him finding out his house was haunted and having it exorcised, there were a few more clips that I thought you should see. Have a look.
Son 3 de la mañana, estoy escuchando ruidos de afuera. Ahí están. Esos son los ruidos que se escuchan en el patio. Voy a salir a ver. Son 3:10 de la mañana. Benjamin, te quedas aquí. Estoy escuchando ruidos desde el galpón, como voces. Voy a ver. Están escuchando ruidos acá. Ahí dejaron de hablar.
Lean was in his basement here, and all sorts of unnatural occurrences happened. For example, when he was doing something as simple as recording for his protection, an item fell from a shelf, and it was obvious that no visible force was acting upon it. Now, as a standalone event, this was already enough to freak out Lean, who just wished that the exorcist would be able to come sooner than expected. To his dismay, though, there was no early exorcism, and the next day he heard laughter coming from the spare room. Eager to know what caused it, he went to investigate, and what he found was incredible in a bad way.
¿Se está escuchando la risa? ¿Qué mierda? Se está moviendo los solo. Escucha eso. Quiero que vean que no hay nadie. Acá. Se está moviendo los solo. Como dicen que hay hilos, fíjense que no hay nada, no hay nada.
Not only was the bear generating some form of laughing sound to lure him into the room, but it also ended up moving as if there was a person controlling it. This bear was purely a stuffed animal and had no form of attachment or modification that would have allowed it to do this, making this instance strange to say the least. When Mario was a young child, he was always fond of wood, and his parents found it quite strange just how cool he thought it was. Mario would constantly ask them for little planks and all sorts of tools to create unique creations, and in his defense, he was pretty good at it. This led to him studying design technology throughout all of his education, and of course, this led him to the career of working with wood. The video that you are about to see took place whilst he was fulfilling this job on his first week, and he was filming to show his parents how he was getting on. Mario was enjoying the role just as much as he did as a child, but one thing happened that really put him off.
Esta es la cajita que voy a hacerle unos arreglos y todavía hay que pintarla de nuevo.
When he turned his back to the wood and the tool, he was using, which appeared to be a drill, the drill somehow changed its direction and powered itself on. The weirdest part wasn't even that though, it was the fact that the cable was unplugged. It literally made no sense as to why it would be able to do this. Mario showed his boss, but to his dismay, he was not believed. Everybody thought he was trying to make some sort of joke. I guess only he knew what happened that day, and let me know if you believe that this was a ghost story in the comments, because I sure do. Marco was a man who worked at his local doctor's clinic, and he loved his job, to say the least. Unlike most middle-aged men, he was content with his life. He had built a family to be proud of. He had a loving, beautiful wife, and his career path turned out to be both rewarding and enjoyable, so there was nothing to really regret about his life choices. One day on shift though, it was a quiet day and he had nothing to do. It was because of this that his attention to detail was extremely high, and Marco heard footsteps outside his office, so started to record using his mobile phone. This is what he managed to capture.
Apa itu Vale.
Whatever happened to be on the other side of the door was pounding on it, and furthermore, the keys were swinging at maximum pace. Due to the door having a see-through build, it was clear that no person was on the other side interacting with it, meaning that this must have been a ghost. Excitedly, Marco sent the video to his wife Linda, who then proceeded to upload it to her TikTok page for all to see. This place was haunted, and they wanted that fact to be public. The House of Ellen was more than likely the place you would least expect to be a host of paranormal activity, but according to this video, that is not the case. Ellen purchased the house roughly 2 years ago, and upon the purchase there was absolutely no record of paranormal activity or information leading to it. Surprisingly, not a singular soul had passed away in there, and every family had moved before somebody's fate had arrived. But for some reason, despite another 2 years of not being haunted, a random spike happened, and Ellen was fortunate enough to get it on tape.
Son las 4:25 de la mañana y las cosas se están poniendo un poquito pesadas. Ya llevo más de media hora filmando, pero no manches. Oh my god, eso es lo que me refiero, eso es lo que estoy hablando. Discúlpeme, pero miren la lamparita. No sé si podré captar algo más. No voy a prender la luz por lo pronto, porque quiero ver si podemos captar otra cosa más. No manches. Quiero ver si podemos captar algo más, que una prueba contundente que haga cambiar de opinión a todos los escépticos, a todos esos que me han puesto malos comentarios en mis videos, que dicen que esto es mentira, que yo lo hago, que yo lo preparo. Escuchen. Voy a encender un poco la luz a ver qué. No manches. Claramente miré que pasó una sombra por aquí por enfrente. No manches. No.
Completely disregarding everything else that happened in this video, there was one thing that far exceeded everything else. If you looked closely into the mirror at the beginning of the video, you could see shadows drifting across the doorway, and this was freaky for obvious reasons. Ellen was standing still whilst these shadows were being casted, which meant that they could not have possibly been him. I am pretty certain that was him catching the ghost on tape. When something haunting goes on inside of your house, you will obviously show a lot of fear, but when it gets close to your children, that is when you begin to take real action. The family that you are about to see reacting to a paranormal sighting had one very young child, and whilst they were going through a paranormal facade, they shielded him greatly. However, one day, as you are about to see, the hauntings managed to reach the room of the child, and to their absolute fortune, they were able to check the security camera and make this odd incident public.
Cardo! This just opened by itself. I have chills. I have chills. We're gonna look at that video!
Strangely, as the man entered the room, the cupboard door opened by itself, and this frightened him very much. The child came running in out of utter confusion, but in order to protect them, the men decided they would rather not let them know why. Fingers crossed, they hoped that this would be a one-time instance and that they would get away with hiding it from the child. But the very next day, this happened.
Get a tissue!
I wasn't picking my nose!
Don't yell like that.
I was putting my nose on my nose, but I
Look at
wasn't
me.
picking it.
First of all, don't raise your voice like that. It's inappropriate. And see, now the ghost is very upset. Don't do that.
That, and there's no ghost in here.
Well, I don't know.
This time around, the boy was moaning about something, and both parties clearly got upset. The father was frustrated that the child was refusing to get a tissue, whereas the son was just annoyed at being told to. Of course, this wasn't the highlight though. After all the bickering, a doll fell from the dollhouse, and the father decided there and then that he was going to break the news of a spiritual presence to his son, and he did so by saying he angered it. The son refused to believe this though, and said to his father that ghosts aren't real, even buying into the fact that this was all a prank. It was because of this that the ghost decided to target the family whenever he was brought up. The next clip happened during a child support meeting where someone came to give advice on how to prevent the kids' bad habits. To their dismay, a paranormal surge happened at this exact time. Take a look.
Okay. And then that made us more like, why isn't he listening to us, you know? So then we're like, come back down here. And then I tell you to come in the room because I'm expecting you to maybe try to help us. At least be there with us. While we clean up. You know? Greg? Come on, let's fix this.
For some reason, the artwork fell from its position without any human interaction, and this freaked both people in the room out. The father pinned it to being a loose screw to comfort the visitor, but deep down he knew that it was far worse than that. Apparitions are some of the worst things that a human can possibly see, and the couple in the following video managed to capture one. This was not your normal everyday apparition thought, it was much worse. The apparition was so uncanny that it looked like Dobby the elf from Harry Potter, and it came out of the worst possible place, the attic.
Então é assim, eu estou a filmar Eu estou farta de ouvir barulhos. Já há alguns dias que ando a ouvir barulhos e não consigo nunca perceber de onde é que eles vêm. Eu estou-me a passar porque eu não consigo dormir, eu estou cheia de medo e eu decidi hoje filmar isto porque eu tenho a certeza que se passa alguma coisa e se acontecer alguma coisa vai ficar gravado. Opa! Oh, Nuno! Eu estou a dar... Calma. Desculpa. Opa! Porquê que abriste isso? Opa, ainda por cima não foste tu que apagaste a luz. Desculpa. O que vais fazer? Tu vais lá acima sozinho. Eu vou lá contigo. Opa, tenha cuidado. Opa! Não, tu não vais lá sozinho. Ai. Opa, olha, vai lá tu, toma, eu fico aqui, desculpa, não consigo, desculpa, eu estou cheia de medo, a sério, vai lá tu, mas tem cuidado, está bem? Olha aí, olha que estás a ouvir.
Espera.
Tem cuidado, vai falando comigo, falas.
Está-se bem. Calma. Estás bem?
Não vá lá, está tudo escuro aqui abaixo, despacha-te.
Cara, não vejo nada. Estás bem aí, Joana? Caralho, o que é isto, meu? Não, nada, está tudo bem, está tudo bem.
Estás bem?
Estou bem.
Olha, esquece.
É?
Chamamos a polícia, esquece, anda para baixo.
Chamamos nada à polícia. Não se vê nada aqui, meu.
Anda para baixo, esquece, fica uma coisa, anda lá. Anda lá, eu estou aqui à tua espera, eu vou dizer que não anda a descer.
O que é aquilo? Espera. Espera aí.
Não vais?
Não. Estou, cara.
Anda lá, vá. Não estou para ninguém, anda lá. Anda lá, por favor, eu tenho que estar aqui sozinha, anda lá. Eu ajudo a descer, anda lá. Anda lá, anda. Eu ajudo. Espera, cuidado. Olha. Espera aí, eu ajudo a descer. O que é que tu viste? Olha, mas fecha isso, fecha isso, mas não viste alguma coisa? O que é que te aconteceu? Pá, vamos chamar a polícia. Isto não é normal, eu ando a ouvir isto há dias. O que é que tu viste?
Other than everything else that happened, the apparition was something that I had to highlight due to how ridiculously spooky it was. The way in which it poked around the attic entrance was horrifying, and I really hope they are able to rebuke this demon soon. The following video comes from security footage at a hospital where a man called Salid worked. He was doing his tasks mindlessly when suddenly some commotion began happening in the security department, and he went to inquire. A colleague of his explained that the officer had seen some sort of human shadow on the helipad where nobody should have been, and suspected that a spirit was present. Everyone knew that no one should have been on the helipad at that time. Curiously, Salid decided to ask to see the footage since he worked with incoming flights a lot, and sure enough, the shadow was not a figment of his colleague's imagination. the shadow slowly progressed along the helipad, and after seeing this, Salid was the first member of staff to alert the higher-ups. They claimed that it was likely just a camera malfunction, and that they were not going to take any further action. Should the managers have treated the situation differently? On May the 20th of 2017, a nurse was walking through a children's hospital when they noticed something that they just had to take a closer look at. The nurse was trying to get to a clinic that had called her and asked for assistance, which was rather unfortunate because she was supposed to be on her break. It was also unfortunate because it caused her to come across a spirit, and if its goal was to disturb the poor nurse, then it was definitely successful. In this video, you could see a balloon floating as if somebody was carrying it, and the likelihood is that this was caused by the ghost of a young child. This is because the children's hospital had saved many kids, but unfortunately hosted the deaths of some too, making it very likely that it was one of these past souls that haunted the hospital. When you go to work, there is usually a set routine and you stick to it. This is the case for many employees because the last thing that people want is to be unorganized and all over the place. But of course, every now and then some hurdles are thrown at you that cause the day to spiral elsewhere. This was the case for the staff present at IAMS at the time of 1 p.m. who were on their lunch break. This lunch break in particular was their favorite, because their friend group were all on shift at the time. But this time around, something unexpected happened to them. Have a watch.
Ándale, hazlo de vuelta, eso. Eso, sí. ¡Bravo! ¡Qué fantasmita! Ciérralas. Ciérralas, ándale, ciérralas. Mira, ciérralas.
For some strange reason, the doors continued to open and close without any human interaction, and it was super clear that no one or nothing was interacting with it. It is important to note that this place had never hosted any paranormal activity before this, and this was a one-time thing, but frightening nonetheless. In case of any future similar scenarios, the boss of the place decided to bring in a ghost hunter the following week to see if they could pin down the issue, and to their fortune, there was no entity present, and this was just a one-time incident. A format that we see plenty regarding the catching of paranormal activity is a moving wheelchair, and it is unknown why this is so common when it comes to spirits in hospitals. A theory that many people suggest is that they are the poltergeists of elderly people who still rely on wheelchairs in the afterlife. But this would make zero sense because the wheelchair never moves all of the time. Regardless of what the cause is, these phenomenons occur regularly, and the piece of footage that I am going to expose you to shortly captures something like it.
Estas son las cosas que pasan aquí en CDT con Chesum. Me cago. Ándate la mierda. ¿Pero qué es eso?
Strangely, the wheelchair moved as if somebody was in it, and the person filming the incident was justifiably in utter disbelief. Of course, the hospital had hosted many deaths, so it made sense as to why it would be haunted, but the chances of this happening in front of her very eyes must have been very low. We are going back 5 years for this next clip, and it was captured using a CCTV camera system in El Salvador. The cameras were mainly placed there to deter people from committing crimes within the hospital, and the staff had no clue that it was going to live to record spirits wreaking their havoc. The cameras were placed in the corridor that attached the hospital to the morgue, but was registered as a hospital camera, so this incident did also occur inside a hospital, well, at least right besides one.
¿Y pusiste más polarizado este?
No. No, está igual, hay que mandarlo polarizado. Al 40 fue donde le jalan la...
Ahorita le están jalando, pero despacito, bien despacito. Como ven, la están jalando, está acostado. Mira ahí,
Que ya se murió.
sí, ya murió. Del 39 empezó a moverse, ¿eh? 20 años.
Ah, sí.
Mira cómo me va. Hasta ahí llega.
What looked to be some sort of hose pipe started to unravel out of its box without any external force acting upon it, meaning only one thing. This must have been a ghost. The video was very quickly posted to social media to gather the opinions of people, and the consensus was that the place was in fact haunted. You should comment your opinions on the event in the comment section down below so that I can see what our audience think. This Japanese reporter and her cameraman took a long and hard think as to what would get views. Their show had been in a drought for viewership, and they really needed a banger to revive it, so they came up with the idea of visiting the most haunted hospital on live stream by themselves. This was a silly idea, because not only were they not in the presence of experts, but they also had no equipment to detect anything, so it was obviously going to end badly and well. I will let you judge how it went.
この先にちょっと入ってみたいと思います。こう埃っぽいようななんか空気がよどんでる感じがすごくします。本当に心霊写真が撮れるかどうかいくつか写してみたいと思います。 このカメラ、怪我をした男性が落としたカメラですね。何か不気味なものが映ってます。なんだろう。
In the mind of the woman, there was another person there, but something in her mind told her that it didn't look human-like enough to actually be a person. This drove her absolutely insane, because she had no idea whether or not they were in danger, and this caused them to end the live stream and sneak out of the facility. Fortunately, they both made it out unharmed, but they were certainly scarred mentally, and you should take this as a sign to not go roaming in locations known for being haunted. In Spain, a large hospital was due an expansion, and it was closed. On a specified day, the cleaning crew were all set to come in and sort out the main areas of the hospital so that it looked nice and neat upon reopening. But during this, one of the cleaners recorded a very disturbing video on their mobile device. They were doing their job when they started noticing a trash can's lid moving, so took out their phone to try and capture it. This was not the only thing that they were able to film. Of course, the trash can was a frightening experience for the cleaner, but the fact a child sprinted past the corridor in the background was rather strange. As I stated, only the cleaning crew were supposed to be in the building at the time, and the child looked way too young to have the mind to sneak into places. Furthermore, nobody was caught trespassing in the hospital that day, so even if it was a real child, then they would have had to escape without being seen, and that would have been pretty hard whilst running. The leading theory was that this was the apparition of a spirit, and I definitely go by this theory. It is quite hard to know whether or not you have experienced a haunting or a coincidence, but there is one way that most people determine this. When a spirit is present, it is often reported that a cold and evil feeling waves over a person, almost as if they can sense the presence. The person in our following video described this feeling perfectly after uploading it and knew that something was there. All of his senses were telling him that he was being watched, and this was backed up by what happened physically. The wheelchair moved on its own accord, almost as if somebody was actually sitting in it. The man was fortunate to have caught this on his mobile camera, because the device was on 1%, so the event occurred at the perfect time, which adds even more bizarreness to the situation. There are many ways in which a person can be haunted, but there is one way that has a scare factor, far worse than any other. Before I tell you, you should have a guess in the comments and subscribe whilst you are down there. But it is apparitions. This is when a spirit shows itself to a human, and it makes sense that they are both the most rare and the most frightening things at the same time. The following one was filmed in a hospital, like all the clips in this video, and it was disturbing to put things mildly.
Oscar, 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 Oscar. ¿Qué pasó? Marica, había un niño, huevón. Oscar, había un niño, huevón.
The child did not stand there for long once the camera panned to it and sprinted with an almost perfect reaction time. It is obvious that no child could respond to something like this so fast, and even the way it sprinted was uncanny, so it is fair to assume that this was an apparition. Furthermore, the man behind the camera claimed to have felt that tingly feeling that you get when an unwanted presence is there, which further proves that it was a ghost. CCTV is a useful resource used to capture all sorts of activity if humans are not present, but they never fail to film the unexpected. For example, this final video was caught on the CCTV monitoring the exterior premises of the hospital, and it managed to capture a human-like apparition.
Ahí al doctor Anthony Choi lo vamos a llevar. Uy, qué ¿dónde sale? Mira, ahí está, ahorita viene, ahí viene.
Es un fantasma, no lo va a captar.
Mira, ¿has visto?
Mira cómo sale.
¿Has visto dónde ha salido?
Caminando tranquilamente con brazos y piernas.
Félix.
Félix tiene que salir de dudas.
Pasa, che.
¿Qué pasó? Un fantasma. Mira.
At first, it seemed as if the spirit was genuinely a human because it had the same structure and way of walking, but once it disappeared into thin air, the opposite was revealed. The following video was captured in a hospital somewhere in South America, and the moment perfectly captivates the fear of a member of staff. Operating on what she believed to be a regular old shift, she assumed all she would be doing was treating a few patients and then making her way back home. But this time around, when it became late, the most unexpected thing possible happened.
Ahí está, ya la aprendí, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa?
Ay, no. Salir a las piezas de las 4, hacer un pozo cuando salí tenía que otra. Cuando vine para acá, se me empezó a pegar, boludo. Me pegué un pedazo y ahora lo veo.
Empieza la estática, boludo. Está
¿Qué
lejos.
estática? Está viniendo para acá.
Ay, la concha de la lora. La pibita de la camacita me dijo que le tocaron la pierna, que le apretaron la pierna. Ay, mierda, se viene para acá.
Pero se viene para acá, pelotuda. No. ¿Has prendido el aire algo?
¿Qué sé yo? Sí, creo que sí.
¿Tomás pirula?
No, me fui a la mierda, la concha de la lora. Ahí está. Que pase largo, boludo.
¿Ves?
Ay, la concha de la lora. ¡Ay, la puta que te parió!
Now, it is pretty difficult to decipher what this video was actually about, but to put it easily, that orange ball must have been some form of spirit. Purely based on the reactions of the staff members in the area, this never happened in the hospital before, so it is more than safe to assume it was an anomaly, but it is the type of anomaly that we are unsure about. The nurse and her assistant both showcased the final video to their boss, who surprisingly did not show any sympathy towards them. They continued to work in the hospital, but this moment remained engraved in their mind. This next video is very old compared to the other ones that I tend to discuss on this channel, but just as creepy as the rest. It took place in a clinic whilst two nurses had 10 minutes to kill. They had just finished treating a patient and needed to wait for their next one to arrive, and this explains why they were laughing and messing around. Despite the vibes being through the roof and both nurses seemingly having a great time though, some sort of exterior entity did not seem to be fond of the joy that they were experiencing and interrupted by doing this.
Es que te estoy enfocando a las boobies. Ah, no mames.
¿Qué?
Pasó algo.
¿Qué pasó? No mames.
A ver, ven. No mames, pasó algo, te lo juro que pasó algo,
Se mueve, se mueve.
Vete a la verga.
Yo no voy.
No mames.
The male nurse heard a bang from the neighboring room, so decided that it would be the smart move to go and investigate. You always have to be alert for things like this in case a patient is trying to escape or some form of intruder is trying to break in. But of course, as you and I both know, it was none of these things. The trolley in the room slid away from the man, and the female nurse quickly sprinted out of the room, not wanting to claim any negative energy from the spirit. And can you really blame her? If any of us came across an event like this, I guarantee we would be out of there as quickly as possible. Now, unlike the other two hospitals where the clips so far have taken place, the clip that you are about to be exposed to happened in an abandoned one. This meant that it was not being operated, and nobody, not even the person filming, should have been in there, making the event that happened more unexplainable than the rest. The time was 1 a.m. in the morning, and the man behind the camera was attempting to capture some content for views. He hoped to come across some mild activity, but nothing too frightening, and what he did end up coming across was shocking. Have a watch. The ICU door continued to open and close without any sort of interaction from humans or objects alike, meaning that an invisible force must have been acting on it. For your information, there was no window or source of wind in this area of the hospital, so before you begin to start typing about that being the cause, then stop. But I get why you would think that. Ironically, after this event, the man behind the camera decided that this kind of stuff certainly wasn't for him, and he decided to upload the video. To his shock, it actually did quite well, and if he carried on with the paranormal videos, then it is likely he would have seen great success, but in the end, it just was not worth it. The upcoming video was captured using CCTV, which is a useful tool that helps mankind with many things. Whether it is catching criminals or making sure your children are not misbehaving, these camera systems are amazing for everyday use. But every now and then they catch some wild things. By wild things, I am referring to poltergeists, and you would be surprised to find out how many ghosts are really caught, not with the naked human eye, but through a lens. With that said, this video is one of those instances, and it was very strange to say the least. An apparition of a child appeared in the room with the family, and it was very disturbing how all of the people present on scene just strolled past it, like it was nothing. The implications of this was that none of them could actually see the spirit, and it was only showing itself to the camera in order to frighten the security team sitting behind it. And based on the reaction coming from behind the woman's camera, it definitely succeeded in this job. Since the CCTV did not allow her to replay the scenario, her only form of evidence that this happened was her mobile phone, so she was very smart to have filmed the whole incident, or who knows whether they would have believed her or not. Visiting your elders in hospital can be one of the most saddening and down-putting visits of your life. Due to their old age and ill condition when you make these visits, there is absolutely no guarantee that you are going to see them again afterwards, so it is very important to make it count. However, despite this being an extremely rare incident, sometimes things go well for the relative, but not so well for the visitor, and this happened in the video that I am going to show you very shortly. In a deep and heartfelt moment between father and son, the father suddenly begins to move again, which gives the son hope, but at what cost?
What?
As his father began to move and show signs of being awake and functional again, the device which was responsible for monitoring the father's heartbeat slid towards the bed. This startled the poor son, who for a moment had the fear that his father had passed, and this was his spirit's way of saying goodbye. But fortunately, this was not the case. If the ghost was not his father, though then, who knew what it was and what its motives truly were? The sad reality is that we will never be able to find out. A common misconception regarding the paranormal world is that all poltergeists have to have bad intentions. This is because the only ghost stories that get true attention and media coverage are the ones where bad and crazy things happen because, well, let's face it, from an outside perspective, they are way more entertaining. There is on the other side a nice side to ghost videos, where the spirits are nothing but friendly and supportive towards their, quote, victims. For example, the ghost in the following video decided to pay a little visit to a young girl in a children's hospital, and unlike almost every scenario on this channel, it was rather wholesome. Enjoy.
Okay, go. Who is it?
It's so weird.
Is it you?
Is it me? It's not me.
It's motion sensor. There's no one over there. Okay, do it one more time.
Do it one more time, please.
Okay. One last time.
Okay. Wait, so are we friends now? Can you do it again if we're friends now?
Oh.
We're not friends? You don't like me? Okay.
Are you a doctor?
Are you a... Wait, so do it again if you're a doctor. Wait, are you messing with us or are you actually a doctor? I don't know. Are you just messing with us? Okay. Well.
I don't know.
The spirit was happy to communicate and have fun with the girl, keeping her entertained and distracted from the fact she was in a hospital. As someone who makes all of his videos on evil spirits, this was rather refreshing to watch, and certainly acted as a nice reminder that not every poltergeist has to be evil. If you enjoyed this clip, then make sure to comment about it, because I will include more positive encounters in future videos if that is what you guys would like. Moving away from such a bright topic and back onto the dismal side of the paranormal world, this video was caught on a mobile phone by a security guard at his hospital that he called work. His job was fairly easy, and he would go as far as to say he had life lucky. It was very rare that somebody would want to cause havoc in a hospital, so there were not really many security tasks to be doing at all. But of course, there had to be one night that ruined it all. Except this did not entail a security breach. It was 11 p.m. at night, and the hospital was starting to get quiet, but just as the guard was about to step down his game and start eating his snacks, one of the most unexpected events of his life happened. Let's see if you are as frightened by this clip as I was.
See, I fucking don't. No.
Out of the blue, the wheelchair slowly glided across the corridor, and the security guard was utterly mesmerized. Now I can already hear all of the doubters explaining that the video must have been staged. Otherwise, why would the guard have been filming this moment? Well, I will completely put this theory to one side, because the reasoning behind this makes a lot of sense. Apparently, Whilst the guard was walking around the hospital, he thought to himself that the chair must have moved, so took out his phone to see if it would happen again. This perfectly explains why he somehow had his phone at the ready in this rare moment. Ghostly experiences are rare, full stop, but there is one form of paranormal activity that far exceeds the rareness of others. Of course, I am referring to apparitions. The whole real gimmick of spirits is that they can do things whilst you cannot see them performing these acts, which is what makes them spooky. If you could see somebody moving your water bottle, then you would likely be much less freaked out than if it just slid off the table without any interaction. Point proven. However, every so often these ghosts enjoy going to the next level in frightening their prey by revealing their uncanny and off-putting appearance, which happened in this clip. It was filmed by a ghost hunter hired by the local council to eradicate all of the unwanted entities within a hospital, and the pay was very high. It is important to note that the council promised the ghost hunter that no one else would be on site during the search, which was a very strict protocol of his. This made the clip very inexplicable. Along the corridor from the hunter, some sort of lanky black figure peeked around the door, and it was pretty clear that this was not the figure of a human. At first, the ghost hunter's mind failed to process what he had seen, but moments later, the picture replayed in his mind, and he doubled back his steps. After pausing the recording of the incident, he supposedly went down the corridor and into the room of which the figure came out of, but no human was inside. This was obviously the act of a spirit. The Brazilian police are no joke, and you would be very silly to mess with them. Unsurprisingly though, Brazil has its fair share of criminals, and this next clip took place during a thorough search for these gangsters. The police had been searching for a set group of criminals for months leading up to this incident, and when their moment finally came to capture them, they took no second chances. They quickly armed themselves before adventuring far from civilization to the supposed complex that the criminals resided in. But what they found was far from a group of gangsters and much more frightening. Have a watch.
Caralho, bicho, que é isso, mano? Cuidado, Judá. Cuidado, mano, que é isso, mano? Mano, não tem nada. Caralho, mano, que é isso, bicho? Caralho, mano. Mano, que é isso, bicho? Caralho, mano, bora, mano. Deus me livre, mano. Vai, mano, vai, mano. Vai, mano, vai, mano. Vai, mano. Corre. Caralho, mano, que é isso, bicho?
The officers heard some loud banging from further down the complex, so decided to go towards it, suspecting that this was the location that the criminals were hiding in. Once they arrived, they quickly realized that this was far from the case. The doors were continuously opening and closing without any sort of human interaction or visible force, which made things very freaky. Eventually, the cops realized that the place must have been some huge setup and no gang lived there. It was just a trap, luring them into one of Brazil's most haunted buildings. On July the 2nd of 2023, a video was uploaded to YouTube from Mexico, which would frighten all potential visitors from visiting the hospital of which it took place in. Before this video was uploaded, it was one of the most highly rated hospitals in the area, with the majority of patients wishing to be referred there. However, afterwards, all of this changed for the worse. Now you are probably wondering how dire the paranormal event must have been to cause such a drastic switch in the local community, and I must say that it was pretty horrible. The staff at the hospital are currently working with members of their local church, ghost experts and ghost hunters to resolve this issue. And if they fail to make any effect, the likelihood is that the place will need to close for good. Here is the clip.
No veo nada. Miren. Miren. Acaban de ver eso. Se acaba de caer un bote. Se está moviendo esto. No veo nada. No hay nadie por acá. No hay nadie por acá. Al lado. Miren, se movió esto. Ahorita que venía caminando por acá. No veo a nadie. Miren. 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 Miren cómo se mueve eso. Para que vean que no hay nadie aquí.
For a place which has never received any form of complaint regarding the paranormal world, this was massive news, and people were confused as to what must have caused it. The fact that seemingly out of nowhere, a place could become haunted made zero sense. But when you use your brain, I guess it was kind of inevitable. The most likely place to become a place of paranormal activity is a hospital, because several families are ripped apart within them, which can anger a lot of the patients who unfortunately end up passing away. I guess their good service, based off all of the reviews, must have kept the deceased happy for quite some time, but something must have angered one of them, or none of this would have happened. In the following video, a young girl by the name of Sabrina was in her room doing regular things when some really weird things began to happen. Out of panic, she ran out of the room to the living room where the rest of her family were, but shortly after she decided to go back and investigate with her phone. What she managed to film was very freaky. First of all, if you paid close attention, you would have noticed that the door opened without any form of interaction from Sabrina, which was very weird. This was nothing in comparison to what actually happened in the room though. From falling books to closing wardrobes, everything paranormal went down in there, and we can only hope that Sabrina managed to get out okay. On December the 5th of 2011, Ricky Squire was filming an innocent video for the boys' group chat. Everybody in the chat decided to show off some of their coolest possessions, and it happened to be Ricky's turn, so he was walking around recording show-off worthy things. One of these things happened to be his truck, which was an impressive thing to own at the age of Ricky at the time. It was while he was introducing this truck to his video though that the unexpected happened, and fortunately, he did not stop the recording.
There's my truck. I fucking need to sell that fucking thing. Brandon don't want to sell it though. I don't know what the fuck for. Shit. Bailey! What the? Bailey! What the fuck? What the?
Somehow, the chair in the kitchen moved on its own accord, and it was very clear that there were no strings or other interfering items in the area. As if this was not enough to scare the living daylight out of Ricky, the spirit also opened the refrigerator door, and based on the reaction it got from Ricky, it certainly did the job of provoking fear. Losing the life of a loved one is a very sad time for anybody, and the feeling is the same when you lose a pet. The man in the following video had owned a dog for several years now, and he just could not picture a life without the pet until it left him. 3 days prior to this ghostly encounter, the dog was unfortunately put down due to its illness, and whilst it was the best that they could do for the hound, it broke the family's heart regardless. You know what they say when you lose a loved one though? They will always be with you in your heart. Well, that was the case for this family.
Hey! Hey!
One thing that the dog used to always enjoy doing was opening and closing the door to his crate, and none of them knew why. At the time, the man behind the camera did not realize the connection between what was happening to the crate and the passing of his dog. But after the realization hit him, he knew that it was his long-serving pet, which came back to visit him and regretted showing fear and discomfort. Abdullah was a man who did not have many friends, so he took a lot of passion when it came to live streaming. This activity gave him a way to connect with tons of people, as well as make some pocket money on the side of his real job, so there were no real negatives to doing it. However, one fateful night when he was doing one of his usual streams, where he would discuss life with his viewers, something extremely shocking happened, and you may have a look.
I was live on Instagram and then this happened.
कौन? कौन? الله لا إله إلا هو الكل لا تؤذوا سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفعون له إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يؤتون بشيء من علمه إلا ما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم من سمعه. कौन हो? कौन? It's around 11. Maybe Instagram पे भी live आया हुआ था. I was just live on Instagram and कौन? मैं कॉल लगा था. मैं नहीं खोलूँगा.
Very late at night, Abdullah's door began to knock, and due to the time this should not have been happening. At first, he jumped to the conclusion that it was a group of drunk people after a party or something along those lines, but it is pretty safe to assume that if that were the case, they would have responded to his words. When Abdullah posted this video online, everybody thought that he was going crazy if he seriously had any belief that this was caused by a spirit. There was no way a ghost would waste its time knocking on a door when it could just stroll through it, right? Well, Abdullah read all of the comments claiming that this was not a ghost and decided to make a second part. Here it is.
So this happened again.
अब्बा अपना नाम बताओ पहले मुझे. अपना नाम. मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला. अपना नाम बताओ. तुम्हारा अब्दुल्ला मैं हूं, तुम नहीं हो. नहीं खोलना मैंने. ओके मुझे आयतुल कुर्सी आती है. मैं आयतुल कुर्सी पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर दूंगा. निकल जाओ यहां से. आओ अंदर आओ 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 अंदर अब जो भी हो मगर मेरी एक बात याद रखना जहां से भी तुमने जो भी करना तुम
This time around, things became much freakier and much less deniable, even for the non-believers. Mimics are some of the most frustrating and horrifying poltergeist forms because they can copy anyone's voice, making it really easy for them to lure you into doing something. In this particular scenario, they managed to lure Abdullah into opening his door, which must have allowed them inside of the house. Due to Abdullah being huge on religion and not committing many sins, with the ones he had committed being repented for, it made no sense as to why these spirits chose him to cast their hauntings upon. Unfortunately, we will never truly know whether or not they meant harm, because after causing a small mess, they did not do much. But I advise you to wish Abdullah luck in the comments. Earlier in this video, we looked into the household of a family who sadly lost their dog to an illness, but this next clip is quite the opposite. It took place in the house of Valentina, a widow who divorced her husband years ago and now lives in a small, one-floor bungalow with no one other than her 2 dogs. Now she is very lucky to have a supportive family that comes over and checks on her frequently in case something was to go wrong, and in the following clip, something most definitely went wrong. Valentina was recording a simple video for herself where she was calling over her 2 dogs when all of a sudden this happened.
Ho preso il telefono in mano perché sono 2 giorni che mi butta in terra i vasetti, soprattutto quello di qua a destra vicino alla zuppiera. E quindi siccome lo stava facendo anche adesso... Ulisse! Ulisse! Vieni, andiamo, dai! Ulisse! Andiamo fuori, via, andiamo! Vieni! Vieni, amore, si va fuori, vieni! Vieni! Vieni qua, vieni! Bravo, amore, bravo! Bravo, Ulisse! Andiamo fuori? Andiamo fuori? Vuoi andare fuori con la mamma? Andiamo? Mettiti qui vicino a me, via. Così. Bravo, Ulisse, così. Guarda, non lo fa più. Russi da sveglio. Russi da sveglio. Amore. Dai, non ci credo, non lo fa più. Andiamo fuori, Ulisse. Eccolo, la guarda. Andiamo fuori? Oddio, c'è poco da ridere, però vabbè. Andiamo fuori. Oh, amore mio. Andiamo fuori, vuoi andare fuori? Eh sì? Oh mio Dio, Signore. Di solito prendi questi. Questo di solito fa cadere. Vabbè. Visto? Dai, rifacciamolo. Rifammelo, dai. Ulisse. Tranquilli loro oggi, Ma quanto è strano, che non ci si può... Come fai a spiegare queste cose? Non le spieghi più.
An ornament fell from the cabinet below the television, and Valentina, understandably, stood up to go and reclaim it. What made this very weird was the fact that the ornaments never moved, and it was in a highly stable position. Furthermore, there was no shake or anything of the sort which could have incentivized this collapse to happen, so who knows what went on. What we do know, though, is that Valentina uploaded a second video to her TikTok account, showing even more paranormal activity, and this time around it was much harder to deny.
Buongiorno, sono sola a casa. Ulisse dorme, la Clio è sotto il letto. Praticamente da ieri, quando ho fatto il video, ieri sera mi ero accorta che la porta si era aperta. Non so se la cosa è correlata dal fatto che ho aperto... Oh! Ho aperto il baule. Lo so. Perché era già un po' di tempo che... Con questa mano sto tenendo il telefono.
Strangely, the door opened itself not once but twice, and it does not take a genius to know that this had to have been a spirit. Valentina explained that no windows were open during this event, meaning that it could not have been the wind, and paired with the fact the ornament fell from the television just a few days prior to this, things were not looking too good. Valentina let her family know about the incident, and went as far as to show them the video. But unfortunately, there was nothing that any of them could do about it. Feel free to comment some ideas for them. Embalming is a process that is undergone in hospitals, and in case you do not know what this is, let me explain. In simple terms, it describes the process where a human body is preserved using preservatives so that the effects of natural deterioration are slowed. Now on the surface, the video that shows this process seems to be normal, but see if you can spot or hear the creepy part about it.
El día de hoy estamos transmitiendo un video y vamos a hacer o vamos a demostrarle cuál es uno de los trabajos más raros, difíciles del mundo, que es un embalsamado. Estamos en el laboratorio de un embalsamado y nos van a explicar cómo es que se hace este trabajo, que es uno de los más raros, más difíciles del mundo. Y no hay muchos que lo hagan. Y estamos aquí con el director de esta casa funeraria. ¿Cuál es su nombre?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Miguel Ángel Contreras, de Contreras Casa Funeral en Guadalajara, Jalisco.
¿Cómo está Miguel Ángel?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Miguel Ángel, este es uno de los trabajos más raros, extraños y difíciles del mundo, ¿cierto?
Sí, así es. No cualquiera lo hace, no cualquiera sabe el arte de embalsamamiento. Por lo tanto, nos sentimos orgullosos porque somos sabedores de este arte.
Perfecto. Yo nunca había estado en el laboratorio.
Some sort of screaming noise could be heard in the background, and it sounded awfully like the sound of a child. If the case was a kid pleading for help, then who knows if they are okay. But on the other, and more likely, hand, it could have been a poltergeist, specifically belonging to the man being embalmed, expressing its annoyance. The following video was captured by Ali, a father of 2 children who was married in a happy family. His wife and the kids were out doing some activities over the weekend, but unfortunately, due to work reasons, Ali had to stay home. Little did he know, however, that it wouldn't only be work that was going to go down during his time alone.
Pour diverses raisons, vous saurez ça bientôt en live. J'ai une vidéo là, tout simplement. J'ai entendu des pas dans les escaliers et comment dire, en fait la barrière a voulu s'ouvrir toute seule. Et du coup j'ai voulu tenter une expérience comme la dernière fois. Alors, prendre tout simplement, tout bêtement, une peluche comme la dernière fois. Je vais la placer par terre. Là. On va voir si ça bouge. Alors. Si tu es là, n'hésite pas à faire bouger la peluche s'il te plaît. Alors bien sûr j'explique, c'est pas parce que j'ai pas fait de vidéo depuis longtemps que il s'est rien passé depuis, mais bon, je vous expliquerai tout ça. Voilà. N'hésite pas, manifeste-toi s'il te plaît. Donc ça c'est le lapin, mais... Est-ce que tu peux faire bouger la peluche? Le petit chien au milieu de la pièce. Oh. Wow, c'était quoi ça? Tu peux le refaire? Non, je tiens à montrer quand même. C'est vraiment une peluche. Il n'y a pas de trucage, il n'y a rien. Il n'y a pas de ficelle, ni rien, vous voyez. Essaye de le refaire, s'il te plaît. On est limité par les 3 minutes de TikTok. C'est dommage, j'avais une réponse. Tant pis. Bah, merci de t'avoir manifesté.
To start with the obvious, the dog continued to move, and Ali was confused by this. The dog was purchased from a regular store, and there was no logical reason for it to be haunted. That wasn't the creepiest part of this clip, though. If you had paid very close attention, you would have realized the doll resting by the television slowly turned towards Ali throughout the video, and this had more of a spooky backstory. The doll had been a gift to his eldest daughter back when her grandma, Ali's mother, was still alive, and now that she had passed, perhaps this was what she used to reach her family. When friends all gather together, things become much less terrifying. It must just be some sort of instinct that our ancestors adopted, that being grouped up gives us a sense of safety, and this was the case for the friendship group in the video that you are about to watch. They were all staying at a friend called Ahmed's house, and it was a great time for them. That was until 10:23 p.m. when this clip was captured.
سمير انا ما بعرف كل مرة بتقلي في صوت انا مش عم بسمع عم بقول لك في صوت سمعتوا للصوت؟ سمعتوا؟ ما شو قنيني هذه طب قنيني كل يوم مفتوح الشباك؟ لا مش مفتوح الشباك كمان شو في شيء غلط ما بعرف شو في طول لمبة شو؟ يا قنيني واقفة ما عندها حالة وين؟ يا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وين؟ حلو كتير حلوين قلتلك يا سمير نايس قلتلك مش عم تصدقني ها؟ مش عم تصدقني طلع مزبوطة الخبرية مش عم تصدقني قلتلك من بعدها واقفة بالهوا سمير انتبه شو بدك يكون؟ أول شي الخزانة مش مفتوحة فتحت لحالها حبايب سمير شو بدك اياه نعمل مش عم بفهم يعني بنفل من البيت حلو كثير شو عم بكي عم بدل على شيء بكي شو عم بدل بفتح الشباك يمكن بكي تفتح الشباك بكي بيهرب بكي بيصير شيء لا شيء مش طبيعي حلو حط أنا one here خيي في شيء هون
يعني منيح انه صورت لحدا يصدق لك ايه لا شو كله تمام خلص
اذا بده يكون في شيء بيكون خلصت الحكايه
كثير سمبل كثير سمبل لا حبيبي انا بدي فيلم من هون.
Now obviously a few of the people there were not nearly as terrified as they should have been, which was shocking to say the least. In such a dire situation you would expect nothing but fear, but a few of the friends decided to not let it get to them, going as far as simply picking up the bottle and putting it down after the event had finished. I would not have been brave enough to do that, I can tell you that much. Sophie had a job that most people would not have the bravery to do, and that job is cleaning up the clinics at night. Whilst this may seem like a regular job at first that you could tackle, you need the crucial piece of information before you can judge. The clinics in which she cleaned were unobjectively haunted. Sophie would scramble to TikTok after almost every single clean and explain the hauntings that she had suffered from, but without any liable evidence, nobody believed her, and you can't blame the audience. There are tons of people lying about paranormal activity online, so what made Sophie different? Well, one day she managed to catch something on camera.
Seance, we're asking the board a bunch of questions. The planchette is actually moving. We're actually communicating with something. And then, I forget what my cousin asked, but she asked a specific question and... No way, bitch! I need to go turn the lights on. Okay, let's turn the lights on.
During one of Sophie's little story times where she explained her paranormal experiences just to get slaughtered and called a liar, the unthinkable happened. A trash can somehow flew out of a room onto the hallway mid-recording, and this was the turning point in Sophie's career. She finally had an audience that believed her. However, she still had a pretty large majority of non-believers spreading hate, but she would prove them wrong again in the following clip.
Every day, people remind me of why I stay quiet and I'm not fucking nice. Because this morning, I went to Cumberland Farms instead of Sunoco, specifically because they actually keep their coffee machines clean and they actually clean like their building, whatever. Sorry, I kept hearing weird shit. Anyways, so I went all the way to Cumberland Farms this morning specifically for coffee. So I saw this little short woman who's there every single day, who's like the manager or whatever, mending the coffees, doing whatever. So as I was getting my coffee, I was like, I just want to say thank you so much for the cleanliness of this building. Like, to be honest, like for a gas station, this is like one of the cleanest places.
This time the activity spiked whilst she was telling another story, except she tried her absolute hardest to not give the spirit any form of attention. The knocks definitely forced her to stutter and go back on her words, but she would go to extreme levels to prevent the poltergeist from gaining any more fuel, and rightfully so. Dogs have been man's best friend for years upon years because the bond between the two species goes back to when humans first existed. In the modern day, dogs have been rewarded for standing by our sides for so long and are the most popular pets in the world. But what if I told you that they had a spiritual side too? We all know that both dogs and cats have the ability to sense things far more effectively than us humans do, which allows most of them to know when a poltergeist or ghost is in the vicinity. Well, they can also become these poltergeists after death, and the video that you are going to see shortly showcases an example of this. The man filming the video is named Maciek, and he was walking to the store to purchase some food for him and his family to have for dinner. Little did he know what he was going to end up filming on the way.
Mira, verdad, para que no diga que te miento ni que estoy loco. No hay ningún perro, ¿verdad? Y mira, mira. ¿Lo ves? Y no hay ningún perro. No hay ningún perro. Dios. Y me sigue.
For some strange reason, the shadow of a dog appeared next to Maciek, despite him clearly not being accompanied by one. What made things even more freaky was the fact that he had never owned a pet in his life. So even if it was a dog spirit, it made zero sense why it would choose to walk alongside him. The only thing about this footage that we know for definite is that it was weird and certainly struck some fear into poor Maciek. The saga of clips that we are going to look at next were all captured by the same person, and we have actually featured them on the channel before. The woman behind the camera is called Kaylee, and we ended her story in a bit of a sticky situation. Roughly 1.5 years ago, she made the decision to purchase a new house. This was meant to be a wholesome move for her family, so that they could all experience a fresh start and life elsewhere. However, it did not take long at all for them to realize it was haunted. All sorts of creepy stuff started going down, and it was only a matter of time before Kaylee started to capture things on camera, which brings us to today's video. Take a look. The door opened on its own accord, and it was almost as if the spirit was inviting Kaylee into the room. She understandably dropped her phone and ran like her life depended on it, because who knows whether the spirit would have done more or not. The good thing is that she got away. Now, in case you missed the first video that I mentioned Kaylee in, the room that the door was opening to was the most haunted in the house, and there were several pieces of footage confirming that, with another one recently emerging, such as the following. You see what I mean? This room was undeniably haunted. In fact, the banging of the door was so repetitive and loud that it forced Kaylee out of bed to investigate, and perhaps that was the poltergeist's goal, to disrupt her all along. Now, I did say that the room I just showed you was the most haunted in the house, but I did not say that it was the only haunted room in the house. The following clip showcases something horrifying occurring in Kaylee's bedroom, which must have added a ton to the discomfort levels. Haunting a house is enough, but making it effective in the person's bedroom gives them no means of escape. The obvious part of this video was the musical box playing without any human interaction, but if you paid extremely close attention to the mirror, you would have noticed something spine-chilling. Somebody's face was spotted towards the bottom of the mirror, and after reviewing the footage and noticing, Kaylee knew that this was no longer something that she could ignore. She decided that she was going to rest at her parents' house for the night and contact some form of ghost hunter to deal with the situation. Kaylee expected that leaving the house would cause the spirit to stop behaving strangely anyway, because there was no one to frighten, but late at night, she received a ring notification, which she managed to use as further evidence to get a ghost hunter on the case. This entire saga was honestly horrible for Kaylee, and we can only pray that she is in a better position now. The following video was captured by a shopkeeper called Damien, who was walking around making sure that everything was in pecking order before opening the store. It was very important to make sure that all the items were displayed well and nothing was misplaced, because it helped to maximize sales, which is important for obvious reasons. One day, whilst Damien was on shift doing this regular work, he started to feel weird and heard odd sounds. It was because of this that he started to film and managed to get this on camera.
Bueno, gente, soy el sereno acá de este supermercado y ahora estoy por lavar toda esta zona. Esta sería la zona de huevos, lácteos. Y bueno, acabo de escuchar algo en la fiambrería. Debe ser mi amigo el fantasma. ¿Qué querrá, no? Parece que mi amigo el fantasma se quiere comunicar a través de esas luces. Fantasma, ¿quieres tú algo? ¿Estás aquí? Dime. Ah, bueno. ¿Qué quieres? Hola. Bueno. ¿Me dejas trabajar mejor, fantasma? Por favor. ¿Me dejas? Te quiero trabajar tranquilo. ¿Estamos? Por favor.
All sorts of weird phenomena started to happen around the store, and Damien knew that something was there with him. From falling bread to collapsing trays, all of this would not have happened by sheer coincidence, and the spirit was making its presence known. This was a horrible experience for Damien and actually made him religious. Fortunate, neither him or the shop have seen or hosted any more activity since this date. The kitchen is a common place for paranormal activity, and I have absolutely no idea as to why. Seemingly every video that I publish on this channel has one or two instances that take place in the kitchen, and the one that you are about to see is no different. It took place in the home of Casos, a Spanish father of two who was enjoying his day off from work after lying about being sick. The bad karma got to him though, because this happened whilst he was supposed to be having a relaxed time.
Bueno, ahí para que vean después el video se lo voy a mostrar. Estoy colocando agüita para llevar un tecito, un termo. Vuelvo a cerrar. Tengo la taza. Esa es mi bebé. Esa pulguita es mi bebé, que se llama Canela. Y esperando. Aquí vean esta piolita. Ya, ahí empezó. Ya. Voy a empezar a huevear. Estoy hueveando. Bueno. No es algo muy normal. La taza se movió. El gato. No es muy agradable la sensación que se vive acá. Ya, es hueveo, ya. Ya cabros, un ratito para afuera.
He started to hear some mysterious sounds coming from the kitchen, so he did what anybody would have done and investigated. He expected to see something such as a rodent or his cat causing chaos, but what Casos found was very disturbing. The mug moved itself on its own accord not once, but twice, indicating that it was haunted. Casos was extraordinarily lucky to have caught this on camera, because who knows who would have believed him otherwise. Donna Ayres is a woman who you will be very familiar with if you are a regular on this channel. She has been a victim of paranormal activity for an extended period of time now, and she has uploaded so much content about her spirit that she will probably be seen in haunter videos several years down the line. The thing that makes her spirit weird is that a lot of its behaviors match that of her ex-husbands, who passed away a few months before the hauntings began. This has led many theorists to believe that he is the one haunting her, but if this is the case, then he must have a serious vendetta against her based on what he does.
Guys, I just thought I'd put you back on. That coin seems to like me very much because it just won't stop. It seems to be it's just doing its own shit. And you've got to see this. It is freezing, by the way, on where I'm stood, and I can hear. You wouldn't believe me if I said, because you'll think I'm fucking losing the plot. I'm not. How is this possible? Guys, you've got to be seeing this. Who are you? What do you want? Are you restless? What do you want? Why won't you leave me alone? What is it you're trying to tell me? Guys, you're seeing this, aren't you? This is ridiculous. Guys, this is ridiculous. The fuck? This... Are you... No, shit. Sorry guys, but I'm just coming in here. That coin just flew at me, right at me. Something. I don't know if it's because I have a Ouija board now and I'm egging this spirit on, but it's getting very violent, very. I'm just going to upload this footage now, guys, because there's too much happening now.
In this clip, the poltergeist toys with a coin that Donna left on the table, and she is evidently scared by this. If the ghost was that of her husband, it likely would have stopped once he realized she was in fear, but going off the fact that it continued to mess with the coin, and even launched it towards her, I am starting to tilt away from that theory. Let me know what you think in the comments. Diego worked in the storage unit at his local institution, and it was a job he enjoyed very much due to how easy it was for the pay. All he needed to do was keep tabs on how much stock the company had, so that if anything went wrong, such as an item being stolen, he could notify the higher-ups to resolve the issue. While the job was incredibly easy though, every now and then Diego felt kind of bored, because it did not involve much, and the majority of the time, nothing went wrong. Occasionally, he would yearn for some sort of crazy event to happen mid-shift for some simple entertainment, and one day, his optimisms were gratified. Take a look.
Mochila. ¿Qué es acá?
What seemed to be something along the lines of a bedsheet fell from the trolley, and Diego was completely and utterly baffled. He had no clue how he was supposed to react to such an incident, and actually ended up notifying his boss shortly after it happened. His boss claimed that it must have been caused by a source of wind, but there were no windows where this place was making this excuse, lame to put it in a light tone. This was definitely a ghost, and the only people who deny this are non-believers. When you think of the term ghost hunters, the chances are that you think of somebody whose job is to go out and seek ghosts. Whilst in most cases this would not be wrong, not all ghost hunters have this as a job, and many just do it as a hobby. The clip that you are next going to be exposed to was captured by one of those people who searched for spirits simply out of entertainment. His name is Ellis, and he decided to explore a haunted house when he caught this on camera.
Uy, no mames, ¿qué fue eso? ¿Hay alguien? ¿Qué fue eso, amigos? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? Uy, alguien corre, alguien corre, alguien corre. Alguien está corriendo. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Miren, aquí hay puertas, como que alguien quitó la puerta. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Uy, 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 se acaba de mover esto, amigos. Se acaba de mover esto. Y esto se movió. ¿En dónde estás? ¿Dónde estás? Queremos verte. Se acaba de mover esto. Uy, 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 uy. Uy, uy, uy. Uy, uy. Ahí está caminando, amigos. Ahí está caminando, ahí está caminando. Ahí está caminando. ¿Hay alguien? Uy, me caigo. ¿Hay alguien aquí? Si estás aquí, quiero que te manifiestes. Uy, ¿qué fue eso? ¿Qué es eso?
All sorts of clearly haunting things happened around the household, and there was no denying that a spirit was behind all of this. Despite doing this as a hobby for quite some time, Ellis was rather petrified this time around, and after ending the recording, left the scene completely. Camping in the woods can be a great experience or a horrible one, and it is rare that you manage to find anything in between. You could either have a blast with your friends and have zero sleep with maximum fun, or be stuck in the middle of a murder scene. And unfortunately, the latter was the case for the couple in our next video. They were having an innocent camping trip in the middle of the woods, then they suddenly heard some loud screaming noises that sounded way too close for comfort. This beckoned the woman to grab her phone and take this.
When the sun goes down. Got a load of kids running around in here. Can you hear them all?
That's a big ass dog.
That's a girl crying. Can you hear that, guys? Hang on. Turn the lights off for a minute, people. Turn these lights off. Turn these lights off. Hang on a minute, guys. We've got to turn these lights off. Turn the lights off. Turn that light off. Turn it off. Shh. Shh. Just sit down. It is a girl. It is kids, guys, but I did hear a girl, so can you just bear with us a minute? Because that bloke sounds a bit weird. Just bear with, yeah? Is he getting closer?
Can we just turn all the lights off so he can't see us, please? Because we sound pretty weird. Where's he gone? Oh my God. I can't even hear anything unless... What was that? I'm at Brian's, Sam. I'm near Brian's. See? I don't mind hunting ghosts, but it's the humans that worry me.
Same.
Human beings freak me out.
Give me a cryptid any day.
I just want to know that he's gone, really. Is that him? That sounds far away.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Right, okay, we're coming back. Give us a minute. Sorry, that was
savage.
That was just you know what it is, it's Saturday night, so even if they're playing around or not, he did sound a bit, yeah, I don't really want him coming over to me, so
Eventually, after a long period of time, the screaming came to a complete halt, and the two of them took a few moments to gain the confidence to turn the lights back on. Whoever was behind this clearly had ill intent, and they were both fortunate to have come out safe. The scariest form of paranormal activity is a debatable topic, and I can see myself listening to arguments for all sorts of types. One form of hauntings that I just fail to see past, however, is apparitions, and this is because they tend to have a creepy and uncanny nature. The following video took place in a little girl's room and was actually filmed by the girl who had only recently been gifted a mobile device from her parents. It is truly horrific that a spirit had the heart to put her through this. For a split second, the apparition of an uncanny spirit appeared in her room and it looked terrifying. She sprinted downstairs and showed her mother after the recording ended, who was equally as freaked out by the clip, and rightfully so. Alex is a woman who has appeared on this channel before for having a haunted home that she managed to obtain some clips from. This video is adding to her haunter appearance tally and showcases another time that she managed to catch the spirit in the act on camera, except this time it happened all around the house. Alex seemed to have to trek around the entire building to see what was going on, and she got a lot on camera. Due to having a portfolio of evidence ready to show off to a ghost hunter, once she had enough to hire one, she added this video to it, and if she posts anything else, you will be the first to see it if you subscribe. The following live stream was streamed to Twitch by one of the biggest streamers on the platform, Kai Cenat. Over a period of about 2 weeks, he had been teasing a collab live stream with the famous rapper NLE Chopper, and when it went live, hundreds upon thousands of people joined. For the majority of the stream, both celebrities were keeping a chill and relaxed vibe, with most of the chat enjoying it, but roughly 20 minutes into the NLE Chopper featured segment, this happened.
Wait. I got a surprise for you, bro. I knew you was coming, gang.
Oh, God. You got a surprise for me?
I got a surprise for you, bro.
Damn, that's how you know we in sync, cuz. We in sync. We know what's up, bro.
All right. Bring the baddies down. Bring the baddies down! I'm joking, bro. I got no baddies.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I got no baddies, bro. I got no baddies, chat. Wait, they said there's a clip here that we have to watch. Closet door opened by itself. No, it did not, bro. Stop lying, dude.
You got ghosts?
No, I don't got no ghosts, bro.
This is good.
Closet door is right there. I got a surprise for you, bro.
Damn, that's how you know we in sync, cuz. We in sync. We know what's up, bro.
Alright.
No. God, what the fuck?
Bro. Alright. Bring the baddies down. Yo. No.
What type of shit you got going on? I hope the hell can take a bullet on my bad. I don't get no fine in the hole. I ain't gonna lie, girl.
What the
Somehow the closet door moved on its own accord, and whilst trying to stay composed for the audience, it was evident that both NLE and Kai became more nervous. At first they didn't notice it happened, but fortunately the viewers were quick to alert them in chat, and they watched it back a couple of times, not being able to find a logical solution as to why this happened. Now there were quite a few theories that came from this incident, with one of them being that NLE Chopper used to be gang affiliated, so must have bodies, hence the haunting. However, some viewers were not as believing. They accused Kai Cenat of faking the incident to encourage a surge in the chat, but they just looked too unsettled for this to be the case. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now moving on from one of the biggest streamers in history, Kai Cenat, it's time to step down in fame and take a look at a paranormal encounter on a smaller stream. Sir Gary is a low-category streamer who plays games on live as a hobby rather than a job, although he does make a bit of pocket change from it. On one stream, he decided that he was going to play some Pokemon because he had not played it in a long period of time, but the stream was strangely interrupted. This interruption was very disturbing for Gary, who had no idea how to react to the situation, so take a look.
Oh shit, see? Yep, you've been nose passed. You've been nosed. Dude, my foot is... It's always something with me. My foot is killing me right now. Granted, I just dropped my phone on it, and my phone... Dude, my foot is... It's always something with me. My foot is killing me right now. Granted, I just dropped my phone on it, and my phone... Did anybody else fucking see that? Dude, did anybody else see that? What the fuck was that?
Behind Gary, the door slowly closed, and when he looked at the dash cam for a checkup, he noticed. For some odd reason, nobody in the chat noticed this happen, so he went on to assume he was imagining things. But after watching the footage, it is pretty clear that he was not. Gary was extremely lucky to have caught this incident on camera, because I highly doubt that anyone would have believed his tale otherwise. On May the 22nd of 2016, a stream VOD would be uploaded to YouTube that would go viral and cause all sorts of speculation. The streamer that this VOD belonged to was called Robbie, and he currently sits at just over 1 million YouTube subscribers. Back then, he was still just as large and made high-quality streams for the time on his Xbox 360. One stream, however, took the spotlight, and of course, it was one that involved him being haunted.
You guys let me know.
There's like a mix of hatred, like pure hatred against me, that there's love, and then there's just the weird ass comments telling me to fuck.
Yeah, I swear to God, my house is haunted. You guys had to have heard that on stream.
Look at Max Steele's comment.
Hold on, dude. I just heard like knocking, and I'm the only one here, and it wasn't on my door. That shit sounded like it was in the closet behind me. What if that closet
Stop being a. You're not Face Carl. Your house is not haunted.
Dude, what if that closet behind me just started opening or some shit? No, I swear to God, and I'm like, no joke, like I really did just hear something behind me.
Oh yeah,
I heard knock. See, Games Pro, he heard that shit, dude.
So go check your closet. Dude, if you like got on stream, that'll be awesome.
No, off.
I mean, that'll be. I mean, like, at least you'll have it on camera, right?
But it wasn't like a knock. It was more of like a creaking, but it was a loud creak. Like it was like someone.
Out of the blue, Roddy heard knocking from his closet, and a cold feeling swarmed his body. He was fully aware that something was in the room with him, but due to peer pressure from his friend on party chat, he decided to play it off and act brave. He noted that he was the only person in the house, so this could not have been a person messing around with him, at least not a family member. After making the decision to ignore whatever caused these knocking sounds, Robbie went back to the Xbox home screen and kept talking to his friend because it made him feel more comfortable. Little did he know that this was only the beginning though, and just moments later, the upcoming clip occurred.
Oh no, real shit? Real shit, I was in here recording and that YouTube plaque fell randomly, dude. Like and that thing's on there pretty good. And then my mirror in my bathroom fell. Like a bunch of shit is just randomly just falling over. My camera stand, 3 legs like this, and my camera stand falls. Out of here.
So you're the reason why people pick on me so much, dude.
I guess, yeah. Dude, stop. Did you hear that, Anon?
Yeah, it was like a thump, right?
Bruh.
I thought that was you.
I got goosebumps.
Dude, I heard that thump.
Bruh.
Dude, I'm gonna get off the Skype call, I'm sorry.
No, bro, stop.
Dude, I can't. This shit is freaking me out. Okay, maybe it's nothing. Maybe we're just thinking about it way too much. Like,
Maybe,
and we're just
yeah,
like...
Maybe I'm just...
We're just focusing on all the little things that we usually don't...
That was loud. That was loud.
Maybe...
Bro,
maybe it's your microwave.
I don't wanna leave my room. Like, I'm just... I wish someone was here, dude. That's weird, dude. Alright, I think I'm gonna go check on my dog, though. Oh, shit. No. Why is the Skype call messing up?
Robbie?
Why is the Skype call messing up?
Robbie? Oh my god!
Bro, right when I said I'm gonna go out there and check on my dog, right when I said that, my Skype call was like... Stop giving me goosebumps!
Robbie, let your dog die. Just stay with me, okay?
No! Why isn't my Xbox turning on now, dude? This shit's f***ing weird. Bro, I swear to God, if I hear one more freaky ass... Bro, stop!
Hello?
Stop!
Dude, what the f*** is happening?
I said, I swear to God, if one more creepy thing happened, I was about to say I was gonna leave the house.
Dude. All my f***ing lights went out.
Alright, I gotta give an introduction to the film just because I have to upload this, so... Alright, guys. Oh my God.
What?
I literally just started filming. Did you hear that?
Dude, what the fuck is happening?
Did you just hear that? Fuck my dog, he's in my room. Alright. I go out there and I hear something by the washing machine, and I think it's just you there, Anon? Bro, stop, because I just came in here because I heard a f***ing bang on the wall. Someone said it's the Babadook. Have you ever watched that movie, Anon?
This time around, a thump could be heard, but this was not the only thing that added to Robbie and his pals' discomfort levels. Coincidentally, at the same time, the Xbox started being buggy, and furthermore, when Robbie suggested leaving the room, the Skype call disconnected for a split second. All of these things added together made for a spooky haunting, and even Robbie's friend was starting to become convinced this was not a safe situation. Knowing that he needed to keep the stream running to earn a good amount of money, Robbie continuously tried to restart his Xbox and hoped that it was just an electrical issue, but it was proved to be far from that. You see, in the other few clips of this situation, things could very easily be dismissed for a natural cause, but what you are about to see cannot.
Tonight is not my f***ing night. Babadook, stop, dude! I hate the Babadook, man. That f***ing creepy ass movie, bro. Oh my God! Bruh. Everything just f***ing fell. My camera stand, my f***ing mic. What the? Hold on, guys, hold on. I don't even know how to fucking... Hold on. What the f... My fucking stand, dude. My fucking camera stand. Again. Bro, I'm putting this on the floor. I'm putting this shit on the floor.
Robbie's entire setup collapsed, and he was in clear sight, so obviously didn't interfere. It acted as a horrible jump scare for both Robbie and his audience, who simply expected to watch a stream of a humorous man playing action-packed games. Whilst this WOD was terrifying for Robbie, he would have made a lot of money from it, so he can't be too angry at the spirit. Going back to a streamer that we have already discussed in this video, we have Kai CNET, and he does not fail to gain entertaining clips. This one was also, of course, a paranormal surge, but in a different setting. Kai was streaming to roughly 100,000 people, and it was one of those chilled out streams where he would just talk to chat and not do much else. Throughout the stream, he started to get more and more conscious that someone or something was in the house with him, and at one point it clearly decided to make its presence known.
No. Oh. Hey, if you kill me, 100,000 is watching. Come out like that ass. I got a big ass gun, bro. It's mad people watching, bro. Just come out, bro. Do something.
Kai clearly did not think that this was a spirit, as he used threats with his weapon, but after he went to loom around the door and saw nobody there, he had second thoughts. Furthermore, the fact that the cross fell made a lot of sense if there was an evil entity in the room, so it is safe to assume that there was. At this point, you would expect Kai Cenat to contact someone for advice on how to deal with being tormented by poltergeists, but he just doesn't seem to learn. That is right, I have another paranormal video of Kai lined up, but before I get into it, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss other haunter videos like this one. This stream was more of a regular stream, and he was seemingly building things with his guest. The guest was a child, so it made sense that they were doing something more on the fun side of things. Little did any of them know that things were going to spiral elsewhere, though. The doors literally opened themselves in front of both their eyes, and they had no idea how to react. It was obvious that no external force had acted upon the doors, making this scenario very freaky indeed. The following video is a snippet from one of the most haunting streams in history, and there is a very big reason as to why it gets this title. Most streams with ghostly appearances have one big event, and then the ghost disappears, never to be caught in the act again. This one, on the other hand, happened all stream. The streamer managed to obtain 5 minutes of pure paranormal footage, which is absurd, so enjoy this snippet.
Same.
Like how much?
It's not like we needed, guys. It's not like we needed any sleeping.
Yes.
What the heck?
Did you guys see that? I like how we're back to playing Skyrim. Like, alright.
I'm not gonna fucking.
It's like,
I'm fucking. You know. I'm just gonna focus on the raid, man. Do you feel
all my
cold?
viewers-
I'm shivering a lot. Does that count for anything?
fucking. I think we're all shivering a little bit.
We kind of are, yeah. No, God, not again.
Dishonored trailer. I don't give a shit about Dishonored 2 right now.
It just did it again.
There's Elvis running in the fucking corner again. Are you fucking done? Are you fucking done?
Is he punching the door?
I hope to God he is.
I think he
We're
just
about to find
ticked
out in a
off
few seconds.
No, okay.
What the I guess one last final look at the apartment. Like, hey, what's up? I just want to let everyone know that I'm alright, I guess. So, oh, cool. Alright. Oh.
Out of nowhere, the box went from moving slowly and being barely noticeable to flying across the room. Furthermore, the door also closed and seemed to have a mind of its own. The streamer somehow ignored the situation and plowed through, but it is safe to say that this was not one of his best nights. Funerals are when you manage to capture people at their lowest points, and this is because these events are very depressing. Losing a loved one is mentally scarring for everybody, and hence why nobody is in a good mood at these events, but at least the majority are not haunted. The only thing that is worse than a funeral is a haunted one, and the attendees of the funeral that this clip came from would agree with this. Have a watch. The white balloon started to drift towards the wife of the man who died, and she almost sensed that it was her husband doing this. While the majority of the people at the funeral were given the creeps by this incident, she held the balloon close, knowing that it was likely her husband of 20 years, saying his final goodbyes. This would be why she broke down into even more tears. The following video took place very early in the morning at a convenience store that had absolutely no business being haunted. It was a super irrelevant store, and no form of spiritual events had ever been recorded there, making it the last place a gambler would put their money on being haunted. However, despite the odds being low, they were not at zero, and one day, while two members of staff were preparing to open the store for the day they experienced this.
Nos encontramos aquí en mi trabajo. Al fondo se observa una cámara de refrigeración donde parte de la tarde se han estado abriendo y cerrando solitas las puertas. Hay momentos que se calma, pero de repente empiezan otra vez a abrirse y cerrarse. Me voy a mover para allá para ver de cerca a ver qué pasa. Nos vamos acercando a la cámara. Jorgito es uno de mis compañeros de aquí de trabajo. ¿Qué pasó, hijo? ¿Qué se cayó? Vean. Ahí ya empezaron a abrir también. Vean, observen. Híjole. Vamos a tratar de no acercarnos, Jorgito, porque... Vean cómo se están abriendo las puertas. Vamos a ver de aquel lado. Ahí se ve cómo se están abriendo y cerrando. Toda la tarde ha estado pasando esto, y inclusive ya hay gente que se dio cuenta, clientes. Y híjole, la verdad sí es un poco temeroso. Ya le hablé a mi supervisor para que, vean, ya le hablé a mi supervisor para que viniera a ver esto que está pasando. No me cree, pero digo, quedó de venir, hasta ahorita no ha venido. Y no nos hemos atrevido a ir a la parte de atrás en la cámara porque pues nos da un poco de temor, ¿no? Porque pues esto es algo sobrenatural. Pero vamos, Jorgito, allá atrás a ver qué pasa. Vean. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Vamos a arriesgarnos a ir. Vamos a arriesgarnos porque a ver qué pasa. Esta es la parte de la entrada de la cámara. Vamos a ver qué pasa. O sea, ahora sí que... Dijo, no sé si oyeron. Jorgito, ve a ver, hijo. Mira. ¿Sí? Veamos qué pasa.
Strangely, the refrigerator doors continued to open and close themselves whilst they were being filmed, and it was almost as if they had a mind of their own. The two members of staff were freaked out by this for obvious reasons, and immediately alerted their manager over text message. Unfortunately, their manager did not take this quote, excuse, and demanded that they continue working for the day or they would be fired from the job. Was the boss in the wrong? Let me know in the comments. Alonso was a well-known ghost hunter within his community, and almost everybody came to him when they had a problem regarding the spiritual world. With his strong portfolio and muscular build, nobody could say no to him and his services. But one day, a mission got a little bit too difficult for his liking. It took place on a Sunday, and he was being paid extremely high money to work this day. It was immediately after entering the supposedly haunted vicinity that he caught this phenomenon on camera.
Vitoriano, saludos.
Carolina. ¡Ay, no madre! ¡Uy, qué fue eso! Perdón, amigos, grité como mujer. Grité como mujer. ¿Hay alguien ahí? Buenas noches. Grité como mujer, amigos. Buenas noches. ¿Quién eres? ¿Hay alguien? ¿Hay alguien ahí? Buenas noches. ¿Qué fue eso? Uy, 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 uy. No mames, no hay nadie. ¿Hay alguien? ¿Hay alguien? No hay nadie aquí. Se me desenfocó.
It was very clear that some sort of spirit was behind the door, and anybody in their right minds would agree with me on that statement. This was the first telltale sign that what Alonso was dealing with was in fact a real threat, and he should approach the rest of the task with caution. Subscribe to the channel, as this was only one clip from a long mission made by Alonso, and his story will be further developed in our next video.